Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Action Network podcast presented by DraftKings. I am your host, Evan Abrams, and I'm joined by Brandon Anderson for our NFL recap show. We will discuss everything we saw today and look ahead briefly to Monday night's game. Plus, I'm just going to say this throughout today's show, we will definitely sprinkle in some Thanksgiving fun. I've finished my article already. Brandon's already looked into the slate. Obviously, 3 games on Thanksgiving, 1 on Black Friday. So we will kind of sprinkle that throughout the show. But we also get to Brandon's hot read for next week at the end. But before we get started, I'm just going to literally give one trend today at the top so we can kind of get into this. But this will have a lot of conversation. I've already gotten a few DMs on it, and I have purposely not responded to those just because I can just say it here. So the Chiefs went to overtime. The Lions went to overtime. Both play on Thursday this week, which has been a topic before. It happened to the Raiders a few weeks ago against the Broncos. But teams on short rest off overtime when their opponent is not. 26-48 straight up. 24-47-3 against the spread last 20 years. Failing to cover by about 4 points per game. When that team is on the road, like Kansas City is this week in Dallas on Thanksgiving, 9-28 straight up, 11-25-1 against the spread. And then the big situation where it's just if the team is on a Thursday, which all these teams are, 6-21 straight up, 5-22 against the spread. The thing that is funny, so the Raiders lost that game in Denver, but did cover with the big number. And the last team to do that last year, the Bears, also covered. So you have 2 covers in the row on that 5-22 number. The thing you can also bring up in this situation, 2 more angles, which would be the Lions are playing at 1 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. Usually this situation is Sunday night football. On Thursday night football. So really even less rest in that situation. And then if you look at the box score, the Chiefs offense on the field for, I believe, 91 plays in that game today, which is absolutely crazy. And obviously short turnaround there. Only the 2012 Texans had to do that with 90-plus plays off OT. Obviously, a lot of time on the field. So figured that would be fun to just get out of the way there. Favorites, 7-0 straight up, 1-5-1 against the spread in that early window. Things kind of shaked a little bit after that. But, Brandon, what do you see from today before we get into the night game?
Yeah, those Thursday trends are interesting because we'll get into the Thanksgiving trends a bit tonight and certainly on our next show, which drops early this week for the holiday. Thanksgiving favorites. That's what we want it back, right? Thanksgiving favorites all the way. That's as long as it's not the Cowboys, anybody else, that's what you want. And there it is. Lions and Chiefs, they're the favorites. They're the bets I had circled, and we already took Chiefs on the look ahead for next Thursday as well for Thanksgiving. So yeah, I was going to bring up the stat that you said, 91 plays offensively for the Chiefs, 50 defensively. To me, that makes me much less worried about that trend specifically for the Chiefs. I'm
Correct.
Fine with my offense on the field. It's the defense I don't want getting worn out, and that defense didn't get worn out. We'll get to that game in a bit, but the Chiefs really dominated that game. Lions and Giants, that one's a little bit more worrying because Jameis is throwing the ball all over that game, so that is going to be tricky and definitely kind of complicates things. Thursday, depending on the year, we don't always get great, exciting Thanksgiving games, but all 3 games look pretty interesting this year, so should be a good day of football to come, and it was a pretty good day of football today. We had some good games early. We had overtimes throughout, kind of ended with a thud, but I guess we can start there.
Yeah, kind of gotta, but we'll make it quick. So the Rams win the game 34-7. Rams actually closed minus 7.5, which I was surprised when I looked. They covered that obviously with ease. Total goes under 50 because, Tampa Bay couldn't score points after, and even I guess before Baker Mayfield gets injured, which is probably the story of the game because the Rams, again, week to week, win or lose, always just seem absolutely cool. Like they're good on both sides of the ball, rarely make mistakes. So I guess off the top here, it's Matthew Stafford, who is now about minus 220 to win the NFL MVP at odds-on favorite. He has 30 touchdowns and 2 picks this year, which the only player to ever do that through 11 games was Mahomes in 2020, who seems to just be mirroring seasons with Stafford at this point, which would be decent news for him. But 30 touchdowns, 2 picks, ridiculous. And then on the other side, the Baker injury, I'll just say this. Arizona next at home, New Orleans next at home, Atlanta Thursday Night Football. So those are the 3 games all at home. We'll see what the injury looks like for Baker. I believe it was his off shoulder, but still in a sling. Not great. What do you make from tonight?
Yeah, the shoulder injury, that's the same shoulder Baker had surgery on basically to end his career in Cleveland before this whole thing started, bouncing around through all the teams. So certainly not necessarily saying that that's the same injury. That's just the same shoulder that he had the issues with. I guess better that than the throwing shoulder, but weird injury. Like, why are you even out there throwing a Hail Mary? Like, you're not throwing it 75 yards into the end zone on that one. It ended up way short. And I don't know, just strange injury. Godwin, I think last year his injury came kind of in somewhat garbage time as well, where just I'm not really sure what the Bucs are doing with some of these decisions, but you hope that it's not something more as good as the Bucs have been this season. 6-5 now. They're in a dead heat with the Panthers, who we'll get to our Monday night preview later. The Panthers are playing for the division lead now. Here's the Bucs schedule the rest of the way. Cardinals, Saints, Falcons, Panthers, Dolphins, Panthers. So if Baker's healthy and as Godwin's back now, supposedly Bucky Irving's supposed to be back next week, they're sizable favorites in all 6 of those games, I think. Maybe not in Carolina, depending on how long before we get there. I have to think the Bucs are pretty sizable favorites still in the division too. But if Baker's out, if we get Teddy for, I don't know, if you're out with a shoulder injury, not probably a week. Usually that's going to be a little longer. Then suddenly we get some real concerns there because
Brandon, do you see there's a lineup? I didn't see there's a few books but there is a book right now with the lineup. Do you want to guess what they're actually allowing us to bet at the moment with the obviously complete question mark right now because we don't know the status of Baker.
It's is it Bucs home against Cardinals next week? Is that right?
Yeah, but they have. I'm saying they have a lineup for the division.
Oh, okay. Oh, man.
What do you think the line is right now?
Let's go minus 170 Bucs.
You might have to log on to a few sites. It is minus 340 Bucs right now with the Panthers sitting at 3-1. So I mean, 7.5 point underdogs tomorrow night in San Francisco. I mean, that means something, but you still have 2 games against the Bucs upcoming. A lot of question marks, but interesting price. Like I kind of thought it would be tighter as well, but that is a price that's currently sitting on the board. I'm sure things will differ on Monday when we get more news. But I mean, other than that, I'm not sure what else you take from this. I think the interesting thing, Rams play at Carolina next week. Last time I looked, that line sitting decently high, which I thought was kind of fun. It was 9.5 right now at Carolina. Interesting if Carolina, I kind of like them tomorrow night against San Francisco, which we'll talk about later. But if they won that game, that price would be a little bit lighter. But at this point, who the heck is who's fighting with the Rams at this point, honestly?
Yeah, I mean, Stafford looked like the MVP tonight, so it's no surprise that his odds have moved that way. Just to comment on that, so I know some of our viewers, listeners are sitting on Stafford 50-1. That was an article that I had over the summer, and I'll be totally honest, didn't love at the start of the season. Like, I would have probably been happy to cash out and go on with life, but ticket made already, and now it's come looking pretty good right now. So the question is, I've gotten some DMs on this. What do we do with the ticket now? Is it time to hedge? Well, it wasn't time to hedge before because there were too many people fighting for it, but now we're starting to narrow the field a little bit. Like Justin Herbert with the line issues, Josh Allen, rough game on Thursday, and the Bills starting to fall back to the pack a little bit. Mahomes, I don't know that seems super believable at this point. Guys aren't necessarily out, but importantly, the more Stafford becomes the favorite, the more opportunity you have to hedge now. If you want to hedge with Drake May, you're getting an actually pretty solid number now where you never were able to do that before tonight, while May has been in kind of a front runner. So I'm still, look, it's a long ways to go. And Stafford is not Brock Purdy or some of the favorites that we've had where one bad game is just going to end it for him. Stafford has a lot more credibility than that. But it's early to hedge. It's just in the range now where you can start paying attention. And as you get down to okay, it's got to be him or one of these 2 other guys now, then at that point you can start to fill out your position a little bit more. But look, you're on a 50-1 ticket. It was a long shot for a reason. Keep riding it. You're feeling pretty good right now, and hopefully things keep going well. And I was holding my breath the whole second half, just like While you're out there, Stafford, put Jimmy in. Like, I don't need to get another shoulder injury or something with this game. Like this, the second half was nothing in this game. Rams go touchdown, touchdown, touchdown to open the game. And in between, Kobe Bryant gets a pick six, just rips the ball away from Cade Otton and just goes down the sideline. And that's it. Like, the game was over instantly halfway through the second quarter. Not much more to say. Rams 9-2 would be they are the 1 seed right now. They'd be coasting to the 1 seed if not for that Eagles block field goal. Remember the one that like screwed up the ATS at the end of the game? And so Rams finish out, Panthers, like you said, then Cardinals. Then they have a 5-day stretch. This is it for the Rams for the 1 seed. Lions, then Thursday night in Seattle. So that's going to be the key stretch right in the middle of December. And then they go Falcons and Cardinals to close. So if they can get, honestly, probably either one of those Lions or Seahawks games, they're probably the 1 seed, though they do lose the tie to Philly, who's now a game back because of that game. But if they get both of those, obviously they should be flying. So, yeah, Rams right now have to be the NFC favorite. They look great. Stafford, definitely the right MVP favorite. And, yeah, I mean, look, the Bucs are a pretty solid team. We said going in, this could be a playoff preview, even a second-round preview. And then the Rams ended the game by like 20 minutes in. So that's how good they're playing right now. And last note, I may have to retire from betting Terrence Ferguson props for a while. No receptions on 1 target. So we might have to let the guy prove himself a little bit before we play again.
I just think it's like Steelers tight end syndrome as well. It's like there's too many guys. Yeah. I don't know who he's going to go to. Everyone's doing just fine, and it's difficult to try to pick it out. Just to round out the MVP market, so Stafford, I see -220. Drake May +220. Then everything else, Jonathan Taylor 20-1, Mahomes 20-1, Josh Allen 20-1. And then the 2 ones I'll add, Jalen Hurts at 40-1. And then there lies Jackson Smith-Njigba, sitting at 40-1 right now, which is all I'll say is this: he has better odds to an MVP than Sam Darnold. So the world has corrected itself. All right, let's keep rolling here. Let's talk Colts Chiefs. So Casey wins the game 23-20. Indy covers the +4.5 on the close. Total goes under 50. In terms of injuries off the top, which I'll do with each of these games, Trey Smith injury, ankle, is definitely something to watch for Kansas City. Obviously, injuries like that, not good for the offense. Listen, the Colts jumped down to a 14-3 lead. 1 gift drive, the interception from Mahomes at the beginning of the game. Basically, you turn around and you say to yourself, well, it's going to happen again. And then you had a real nice Daniel Jones drive. If Casey just came back from there alone, from a 14-3 lead, you would have been like, okay. But Indy then leads again 20-9 at the start of the fourth quarter. The biggest issue with those final drives for Indy, they really should have studied by teams down the stretch. 4 straight punts. 4 straight 3-and-outs, not just 4 straight punts, 4 straight 3-and-outs. They combined to go for 13 yards in those 4 drives. So, I mean, I have a few things to go over here, some fun stats, but like, what do you overall take from this game when Kansas City feels like they stole one?
It feels like they stole one because of how the ending went. But then if you just zoom out and look at the stats on the page, 494 yards for the Chiefs to only 255, like nearly double them fair. Up. 33 first downs to 10 for the Chiefs. Yeah. We mentioned already 41 more plays on the field. So the Chiefs go 1 of 6 in the red zone. So it feels like the Chiefs stole one that they accidentally had given away previously. I think you have to count both parts of the equation there, where first half, Chiefs have a drive of 17 plays, 64 yards, 13 plays, 48 yards, 10 plays, 81 yards, field goal, field goal, field goal. Like, what's happening here? The Chiefs are supposed to be so good in the red zone, and they kind of screw around sometimes, or they're just not executing today. But 1 touchdown, and that game is basically tied at halftime. Instead, it's 14-9. They're down. And so that kind of sets up again, late in the game, 15 plays, 87 yards, 1 throw, and the game is over. Nope, got to settle for a field goal. And so they again stalled out in the red zone, had to go to overtime, and then, of course, added another red zone field goal in overtime. That one's a win. You want that field goal. That's what they wanted there. But Chiefs defense, I think, is the story. Along the red zone failures kept the game in it, and then their defense kept them in it on the other side. You mentioned the 4 straight 3-and-outs for the Colts. This is a team that's had, I think, multiple games this year where they didn't punt the entire game. I think their punter punted until like October this season, and they came into the game averaging 3.2 points per drive. That's more than a field goal every time you get the ball. They had 11 drives today, the Colts did, 20 points. And one of those was like a 3-yard drive after the interception you talked about. That's 7 of those 20 points. So Chiefs pressure really strong this game. Got after Daniel Jones. Really impressive. 41% pressure against one of the better lines in the league this year. Colts on passing plays, 34% success rate. Only 11 out of 34. Daniel Jones, not pumpkin-y, but certainly not looking great, not looking very reliable. Jonathan Taylor, you just said his MVP odds, 16 carries for 48 yards today. So, 58 yards, I think. But that includes one 27-yard run. So other than that one play, 15 for 31. So 2 yards a game, the entire game, plus one long but not killer run. This defense was awesome by Spags and the Chiefs. And that's against a Colts team coming out of the bye week. They're the team that had the extra time to prepare. This to me, at the end of the game, felt like the Chiefs stole it. But on paper, by the results, Chiefs 46 to 38% success rate, series success rate 76 to 56, 20% better on the day. This to me is the game the Chiefs we've been waiting for from them. They dominated a great team. They deserve the win. They tried to give it away. They looked death in the face. We thought for a second we're going to have an under 500 Mahomes team heading to Thanksgiving. Now 6-5, 5-1 at home. Dallas, Houston, Chargers, Titans, Broncos, Raiders. I think they can exhale a little bit. They're still not in the playoffs right now, but I think they still are not only favored to make the playoffs and should get there pretty easily with this one. I think they're live for the division and even the 1 seed in the AFC if they get some help along the way and get to 12-5 winning out. So this, to me, this was the game. This is the one we waited for all year, and this is the turning point of the Chiefs season. When we get to the AFC Championship and the Chiefs are there yet again, like every other year of Mahomes' career, literally every single one of them, this is the game that we're going to look back and be like, that's where they turn the page.
Yeah, you opened my eyes because I had been looking at it a little bit where they got lucky, but you're right. Like from a success rate, from a yards per play, from an offensive, like they looked probably better and more whole than they have in a while. I'm just looking at a few different metrics, and of course, I'll give you a stat that'll back up what I'm saying because that was the storyline I was looking for. But I mean, it is crazy. Like KC does win a game where they lost a turnover battle 2-0. They didn't sack Daniel Jones once. They, like you said, 1 of 6 in the red zone, trailed by double digits twice in the game, never led to the final whistle. So, I mean, there was a lot going one way or the other. I'll say this. So here's the stat. Teams that trail by 11 plus get no sacks on defense and lose a turnover battle 2-0. Winless since 2022, 5-338, 1.5% last 20 years. I mean, but think about that. Trail by 11 plus, You get no sacks. So you get no sacks, very difficult to get back the ball. Then you're losing the turnover battle by 2. So at that point, you're giving the ball over a ton. Pretty crazy. KC's still in it. But listen, we go to a Thanksgiving where I believe the only team that lost, the only team that lost was the Bengals. So 5 teams get the win. Good stuff coming forward. But anything else you feel like you want to talk here?
Yeah, just a note on the Colts. So they go to 8-3 now. Big loss for them because they fall a game back on Denver and New England for the 1 seed, but not necessarily just the 1 seed. They're suddenly in a division race. Jacksonville's got 7 wins, only 1 game behind. Houston suddenly is only 2 behind. They play Houston and Jacksonville next. The Colts do. Then they get a little break. Here's your break. Seattle and San Fran. Then Houston, Jacksonville again to end the season. This is the schedule we knew was coming for Indianapolis, that those are 6 teams that all think that they're playoff teams right now. That's it. That's the whole schedule left for the Colts. So this dream season, this MVP or OPOY, at least Jonathan Taylor season, it's all been great, but they've got a lot of work to do now finishing out. And I'm not burying them here by any stretch. I don't believe in Jacksonville in particular, but they've got work to do, and they're going to have to actually win those division games to win the division yet at this point.
Yeah, and Indy now faces off the 91 defensive plays Houston before traveling to Jacksonville. So we will see how it goes then. All right, let's keep going here. The Cowboys, yes, the Cowboys, beat the Eagles 24-21, cover +3 on close at home. Total goes under 48. The Eagles scored touchdowns on their first 3 possessions. 7 plays, 50 yards. 12 plays, 76 yards. 6 plays, 66 yards. They led 21-0. At that point, Dallas had 75 total yards in the game. Even after giving up the Dallas touchdown before the half to make it 21-7, Philly still goes 3 and out to start the second half. 3 total yards on that drive. And then basically, right after getting it back, 8-yard pass, 5-yard penalty, 2 incomplete passes to Devonta, and they punt again. Like, the Eagles in this game, even overall, feel like they struggled on early downs, negative EPA per play on rush and pass on early downs. And again, we talked about this, but no Lane Johnson, 18 of 63 on the ground, 3.5, 15 early rushes for them in this game, just a 20% success rate. So that mixed with 14 penalties, just very difficult to overcome. So, I mean, that's the way I look at it. I'll give it to you after this. So Philly's last 7 drives, punt, 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 punt. 4 straight punts, a missed field goal, a fumble, and a punt. I mean, they legitimately had – I mean, I know how we talk about scripted plays to start a game, usually not the first 3 drives, but after that, it was just an absolute mess. So, I mean, what do you really take away from just an absolute collapse here?
Yeah, it's crazy because the Cowboys really had a collapse of their own, just happened earlier, and then they came back from it. Like, Cowboys turn it over on downs opening drive, then they fumble the ball to set up one of those Eagles touchdowns. Then they're down 21-0, and they're driving to at least make it sort of close, and Dak throws an interception in the end zone. So it's like, all right, this game is over. Like, we're already turning attention elsewhere. Please give us some game in the late window to pay attention to. And then, yeah, like you said, in the second half, the Eagles flip the table, I guess, and suddenly they're making mistakes. You didn't even mention on your drives, there's another drive, that crazy special teams play by a rookie whose name I forget, that the Cowboys, like, that doesn't count as a drive because Eagles muff the punt. The Eagles fumble on consecutive possessions, and then the Cowboys don't score in either one of them. The Cowboys get a fumble from Saquon, which is first of the year, I believe. They get the ball. They can't really do much. They punt it. And then the guy, like the gunner, gets blocked onto his butt, gets up, gets all the way downfield, makes the hit, and I think is the guy that recovered the fumble as well, inside the 10, and they still don't get there. Like, they run the ball down to the 1, pass, nothing, and then still get the ball back and eventually go down and get the score. The credit to the Cowboys defense that made stops throughout this game. Cowboys finished with 473 yards too. So this Eagles defense that we just saw play Green Bay and Detroit and looked so dominant in those games, they got beat up in this game. Dak Prescott on play action, which the Cowboys don't run a ton of play action, 9 of 11, 174 yards, second most in his career. They play, of course, the Eagles do on Black Friday against Ben Johnson. Guess who runs a lot of play action? Ben Johnson's offense runs a lot of play action. So that's something to keep in mind there. Dallas really almost blew this game. Thanks for nothing, CeeDee Lamb. 3 more drops, who I think has like 6 or 7 drops just against the Eagles in the season. Remember the opener? He cost them the game in the opener, like 100 yards and multiple drop scores. This game, they get down after that second fumble, and he drops a touchdown, contested well, but you got to catch that one if you're CeeDee Lamb, the superstar on this team. I don't even know if he is anymore. George Pickens might be the superstar receiver, 9 for 146 and a score. Lamb only caught 4 of his 11 targets. If Lamb catches a couple more balls against the Eagles, Dallas probably should have swept this team this season. It's certainly at least deserving that they get a split out of this. Saquon, 10 carries, 22 yards. 2 games now since the Quinnen Williams trade. Dallas's run defense has allowed 90 yards rushing on 30 carries, 3 yards per play, only 1 run for 10 yards or more. So this defense that was so bad early, certainly not ready to call them great just yet. You don't get to be great for stopping the Eagles, but they're certainly doing some good things here. And I guess all that to say, zooming out, that's kind of where we're at in this stage. It's like, okay, we got like 6 games left. So what does it mean? I think not a lot for either of these teams, to be honest. Dallas is 5-5-1, but they go Chiefs Lions next. So we're going to get a pretty great viewership record with this Cowboys game and that Chiefs game into Thanksgiving with each other. Everyone's going to be watching that one. Cowboys are still pretty far out of it at this point. Eagles, they should be fine. They've got a game in Buffalo later in the season. Otherwise, their schedule is relatively soft. I think they'll be fine. Maybe this ends up costing them a seeding position or two in the NFC. Mostly, even though this feels like it matters so much in the division, probably not a huge outcome either way, just because that's what the Eagles get for building such a strong lead earlier in the season. But man, as both you and I have just been like crying our eyes out at all this Eagles luck all season, it sure feels nice to see it finally feel like it came back around and the Cowboys to get one off of them.
Yeah, I mean, between this and the Broncos game, like you just continue to see different examples of it working at some points, like going to AJ Brown early in this game and everyone's like, oh, like, okay, here we go. This is great. And then for it to just flat out die, like for the possessions to look nothing like that afterwards, and for it to come incomplete after incomplete. And honestly, this isn't even Dallas, right? Because Dallas almost gave the game away multiple times. Like, I feel like it's just worth focusing on like the Eagles again in this game, especially against maybe an improved Dallas defense. Because again, like you said, it seems like they have their stuff together a little bit better with Quinnen and more pressure up front. But either way, just complete disaster. From a odds market standpoint, looking at DraftKings right now, just funny that the Cowboys, sitting at 5-5-1, are 7-1 right now to make the playoffs. The Chiefs at 6-5, who obviously meeting on Thanksgiving, are minus 230 to make the playoffs. So two teams, two similar records, two just different pedigrees in different directions. And I think the schedule for Dallas and the uphill climb probably the difference there. But either way, Jerry got his wish. Dallas winning, looking decent, still in the mix for a Thanksgiving game against Mahomes. I mean, it's going to be something that everybody watches. So that is Dallas and Philly. Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, Dallas, Kansas City, the difference really is the conference too. Like Dallas is already, even with this win, only like the 10 or 11 seed in the NFC. There's just too many teams there. Jerry got his wish. I got mine. One more chance to wear the old Carson Wentz Eagles jersey this year to taunt Eagles fans, to celebrate Carson Wentz, who apparently is the best Vikings quarterback on the roster still. So sorry to my Vikings. And also, go NDSU Bison, Carson Wentz alma mater. Number 1 seed yet again in the FCS playoffs that came out today. So shouts to the Bison.
Always get what you need. All right, let's get through some shorter recaps here. We're going to go through 4 games and then just get to some scores. Lions win the game 34-27. At one point, I was prepping a Giants upset post, so it got real close. But Lions win the game 34-27. Giants cover the 14 points on the close. Total goes over 40.5. I'll start with an injury. So Khalif Raymond had an ankle injury, something to watch for in the depth chart of the Lions wide receivers. I think the Giants week to week, as long as Russell Wilson isn't starting at quarterback, tend to just be undervalued, at least in the first quarter line. They are now 9-3 first quarter ATS this year, best mark in the NFL. They are 8-1 first quarter ATS without Russell Wilson, so with Jameis and Dart starting. And Detroit's bad first quarter literally only almost cost them the game. I mean, just 2 punts in the first quarter while the Giants got 3 possessions and 10 points. They turned around and Jameis was for real, at least early, which is kind of what you always say about Jameis, is like wait till later. Wait till he has more possessions, more time, more throws. The thing that stands out to me, first 3 quarters, every time Detroit scored a touchdown, the Giants ended up matching it with points. They really just kept the pressure on possession by possession. The Jameis interception to Wandell in the fourth quarter did break that, which kind of, again, turned the game and kept Detroit in it. So what do you make of this one? Especially, I kind of want your feedback on, like, what do you think this means for the Green Bay game, which is probably the more interesting point?
Yeah, I mean, this was just a fun game. It's over 1,000 yards of offense. This was an extremely Jameis Winston game. We get the full Jameis experience. You start out 4 plays into the game. Like, I'm on Lions and Lions Escalator. The way you don't want to start the game is 4 plays in, a rushed, overthrown flea flicker touchdown for the Giants, up 7-0. Your
That was
minus
nice, though. That was
37 and a
pretty.
half
That was
ticket.
pretty.
Yeah, it looked pretty good on the field, but your minus 37 and a half Lions tickets pretty much cooked when you get the flea flicker 4 plays in the game for the touchdown. Turns out that was cooked all the way along. Later in the game, Jameis catches a touchdown, and not just like catches a touchdown. My guy's like going up there, high pointing the ball, and then like stiff arming and breaking a tackle, rumbling for more yards, like the no yes trick play into the end zone. Then, of course, because you're getting the full Jameis, you get the interception. So it's 27-17 in the fourth quarter. Yet again, a double-digit Giants lead in the fourth quarter that they lose. I said before the game, can we fire Brian Daboll again? Can we fire Brian Daboll again? Or for the love, can we fire Shane Bowen, the defensive coordinator, who keeps giving up all these crazy comebacks late in the game? So Gibbs gets a touchdown, 49-yard score, 3 plays later, and immediately Jameis interception on the next play. The Giants stop them. The Lions drive all the way down. We saw this in a couple games today. Teams that were up 3 and decided to go for it rather than kick the field goal to go up 6. That's the analytics decision. You don't want to force opponents to have to be more aggressive and push for the touchdown and push even on 4th downs. You want them to kind of settle for a field goal. And that field goal the Lions made, Bates' career long, 59 yards, that was nasty off of his foot. Like that, I thought that was going way nowhere near. And it somehow like pokes through the bottom corner. And then, of course, Gibbs scores 69 yards on the first play of overtime. And then Jameis with a sack to end it, which was, I believe, the only sack he took the entire game. So you get the full experience. The NFL is just better when Jameis is playing. And, you and I talked about this with my Lions pick. Which quarterback would I have preferred out there? This is why I don't want Jameis out there. It's just like high variance. You never know. He might stiff arm and catch a Heisman touchdown in the middle of the game. You just got to live with it after that. To your question, what about the Lions forward? I'm not overly worried about this for Detroit. You kind of got the kitchen sink here from the Giants. Like, to me, I said in my cap, no more dead cat bounce. I kind of think this was the dead cat bounce. This to me was that we fired our coach and we're throwing everything we've got at you. This is the Jameis, screw it. We're just out here having fun. Let's go try to win a football game. Like, they got everything. They get multiple trick play touchdowns, including Jameis. Everything was going the Giants' way. Just every little tiny thing or some goofy play would be like another thing for the Giants. And the Lions won still. That's pretty impressive, honestly, to have that happen. They were 51 to 38% success rate, so a clear margin for the Lions. Even stronger on early downs, 19% better on early downs. So, yeah, look, I don't feel great that Detroit gave up so many big passing plays down the field. That secondary just was getting attacked. So how do I feel about them forward? Not great about that, but who do the Packers have that can attack them right now? Like, the Packers are so short on healthy weapons. Jacobs didn't play today, and now it's short week, so we'll see if he's ready to go. Tucker Kraft is out. I don't think Jaden Reed will be back just yet, and he's not really a big downfield threat anyway. So I know Love and explosives have been working with Green Bay, but I'm not sure that they will have the firepower to match up. You get Jahmyr Gibbs, 219 yards rushing, 45 receiving, 3 touchdowns. This guy is truly just can score any play sort of player and can break the game open. So I still feel pretty good about Detroit going forward. They, of course, blow the streak that you and I have loved, 13 straight covers after a loss. They got the win, but now they go. We'll see them Thursday, 2 weeks in a row. Packers on Thanksgiving. And then, of course, the game that we just kind of get every year now, Lions-Cowboys, the post-Thanksgiving Thursday, the following week. So Detroit 7-4. It's a tough schedule that's left for them. They have 5 of 6 games left against playoff teams, and the other one's Dallas, who certainly looks feisty as well. So the Lions, I'm not so worried out of this one, but they're not safe either. They're actually, I believe, out of the playoffs if it started right now, even with this win. So they've got work to do for sure.
Yeah, and if you look at the toughest remaining strength of schedule, Packers 1, Colts 2, which you mentioned, Lions 3, Bears 4. I mean, it's about facing each other and the fact that they all have like a really good record at like 70%, 60% heading forward. But that is what it is. The other two things from this game that I feel like we got robbed of. I really wanted to see the Giants score a touchdown in overtime. They go for 2 because I'm almost positive that Kafka probably would have done it. I think it would have been great. Or it would have been great to get a pick 6 from Jameis to give the Lions the cover in overtime, which is like never could have happened in NFL history before we changed the rules, but he would have been the quarterback to throw the pass. And then you would have had the Detroit guy making the decision to go down. If he had like an open field, it would have been an incredible gambling X, Twitter, Instagram, whatever.
Do we know? Like I was wondering, as the guy on the Lions ticket, all my alts were dead, but do we know for sure that they're not just going to like blow that dead? Like in college, if you get a turnover in overtime, they just blow it dead and you can't actually get a score, but you don't get scores in college. Do you know if that's actually the rule?
Yeah, because I think in college it's different. Like the game is actually over on the play because the ball is dead. I think in the pros, like if he keeps going and doesn't go down, it's a live ball.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I was wondering that as well, but you're right. I knew I was hoping for like the longest long shot, but I forgot it wasn't so long. That would have really truly been the full Jameis to just end with the blown cover on the pick 6 like only Jameis can. Giants have losses now this season by 1, 3, 4, 7, and 7. 4 of those 5 losses are to playoff teams, and I believe in all but one of those, they led by double digits in the fourth quarter. So it's kind of terrible, but also if you're a Giants fan, it's kind of like weirdly a perfect tank season. Like you're 2-10, but having a blast over here. Like these games are so fun and you get to enjoy like 3.5 quarters of them, but then you still lose at the end. You get a pretty good draft pick out of it. I feel like that's kind of fun. You got your quarterback, you got a fun backup quarterback. You're putting up close, fun games every week. You're the Giants fan. I think it's a pretty good outcome for you. What do you think?
Oh yeah, born and raised New Yorker. I'd say I'm a Giants fan. Like you're also losing games without Scatterbo, without Neighbors, and without Dart. Nobody gets to experience losing. It's really fun every week. You get really close and then you blow it, and hopefully we get a really good pick. It's actually the perfect scenario. So let's keep doing that. The other thing, and this is just like you would assume this, Jameis second start this year, 2-0 to the over. His game's 22-13 to the over since 2019. I mean, he just brings an absolute twister to every game in terms of chaos. It'd be crazy for his games not to go over. The other thing you mentioned, which before we move on, fired head coaches, now 5-2 ATS after this year with the Titans and the Giants. So just something fun there. All right. Steelers, Bears. Bears win the game 31-28. This game closed at 3, so had a push. A lot of people got Chicago at 2.5. So covered there. Total goes over 46.5. The story early, obviously, is Rodgers questionable. A forearm, I believe, injury. He's ruled out Sunday morning. This morning, Rudolph is ruled in. I think Rudolph played well enough to win the game. Obviously, DK Metcalf got hurt, I think, multiple times with the same injury in this game. So we have to watch out for next week with Pittsburgh with that. Game to game, I feel like we try and predict what is like a very random sport, which is the NFL. And to me, this was simply a random game based off of final result. Like the Bears won the game, but I think you play this exact game 100 times and it's 55-45 because I think so many different things happened in this game in terms of just turnovers. And it was a very even game all around. But there was a few outliers. Like Caleb played well, 3 touchdowns. Yes, he had the 1 fumble loss, but 1 sack, played well. But Pittsburgh ran all over Chicago, missing like 100 linebackers in this game. 36 carries, 186 yards, 5.2, 2 touchdowns, and a chef kiss fake tush push, which you only bring that out every once in a while because it's got to be a key moment, and this one worked great. But what do you make from this one?
Yeah, I kind of saw the same thing as you. Like I have fun notes in my notes, but mostly just, this was a pretty back and forth game that sort of felt like a coin flip in the end. Like you said, 55-45, I might go like 52-48. I could just go 50-50 because I'm not even sure which side would be the 55, to be honest. I think by the numbers, you'd say the Steelers are probably the slightly better team. 10% better success rate. They ran the ball a little bit better. That's not nothing considering how well Chicago has run the ball lately as well. So, yeah, it just came down to Pittsburgh got the fumble touchdown. That's the Caleb Williams play. I thought, too, Caleb made good plays, but then late in the game had one that they're trying to burn the clock, and they let him throw on third down, and he rolled out and definitely had no one there. You got to, like, he's been doing so well this year avoiding sacks. You got to take the sack on that one. You got to keep the clock rolling. And instead, they saved the Steelers a timeout and kind of left the door open there. It just really felt like who'd get the right break or who'd have the ball last in this one. So fun game between two teams that are pretty unpredictable. I can't take a whole lot going forward. These kind of are what we thought these teams were. Pittsburgh now 6-5. So for all they got handed a Joe Burrow injury and a Lamar Jackson injury and a huge lead in the division. And now they're 6-5. Up next, Buffalo and Baltimore in a row. And still later to come, Lions and Ravens again as well. So they are out of the playoffs and have real work to do and are not in great shape. Chicago 8-3. We all know that that's like a fake 8-3. They have wins now by 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 points. Put otherwise, they're 8-3 with a negative point differential for the season. They're still -3 on the season because they're 6-1 in those one-score games. So I think even in the NFC, they're probably pretty safe for the playoffs at this point. But Eagles, then Packers, then the Browns, who are not necessarily easy with their defense, then Packers, Niners, Lions. I think the Bears probably at this point are good enough to win at least a couple of those games. But I think that they probably limp into the playoffs. And this sort of win is not the sort that tells you that you're going to actually win games once you get there. So we should temper expectations still, I guess, really on both of these teams. We said this might be a bit of a fraud off, and I think it's kind of what we saw. It was a fun game between two slightly above average teams, and they're both about to play much better teams, and then we'll probably know what to do with them from there.
Yeah, I think the fun thing is that the NFC North entering Thanksgiving, which is key for the whole division, has no odds-on favorite. You have 3 teams listed at about 320 or less. I think at this point, with the Lions in the position they are, with the Packers playing week to week with a little bit of a question mark, and the Bears just looking so good, but people wondering how long it can last, both teams just kind of sitting there. Obviously, Minnesota you could forget, but the other 3 teams, it's a real interesting race. From an AFC North standpoint, Ravens at DraftKings sitting at -425 to win the division. Steelers at +360. They're basically telling you it is toast. But again, Pittsburgh has Buffalo at Baltimore, Miami on Monday Night Football, and at Detroit. Like, not the hardest strength of schedule if you just look at the numbers, but week to week, not the easiest either. Like, those are teams all vying for things. I mean, Miami is currently sitting on Monday Night Football game, which, who the hell knows what Miami is going to look like in 3 weeks. But Miami now, it is what it is. And then at Detroit. So Pittsburgh's got a real tough sledding ahead. The one thing I think that's really crazy about the Bears, so they've won 4 straight games, all by 5 points or less. Like, they are legitimately week to week playing with fire, and playing with fire with a guy I wouldn't want to play fire with, which is Caleb. So the fact that it's working is actually crazy. And one of the reasons it's working, the interception game, they are right now 16 picks through 11 games, and they are +16 in turnover differential, which, first team to do that through 11 games since the 2019 Patriots, for that 2015 Panthers. Like, they're kind of on another level right now, which is definitely helping out in each of these games. So I still kind of feel like there's like something off with them, but the run game, the turnovers, week to week, Chicago's there. So, all right, let's keep rolling.
Little bonus hot read for you. We'll get to the actual hot read in a while, so stick around for that in a few minutes. I think as you look ahead to Thanksgiving, I'm totally with you on the Bears. Something is off fade coming for them. A great way to fade them is, who do you like on Thanksgiving, Packers or Lions? We're getting a juicy plus number because of the Bears hanging around this well. Bet the division for your money line play on Thanksgiving. If you like the Lions, they're going to be set up well. If you like the Packers, they win that one. They sweep the Lions. Remember, they beat them in week 1. So that sets the Packers up pretty well going forward as well. So I think that's maybe the way that you fade the Bears is pick who you like in that game, pick them as the division winner. I will tell you right now, I will be making a pick on all the Thanksgiving games. I'm definitely leaning pretty strongly toward the Lions right now, to the point that almost was a hot read for me, but it's at 3 right now, and it's just stubbornly stuck right at 3. But like DraftKings, it's -3 plus 100. That tells me that there's a really good chance we might get that thing below a key number. That's why it's not a hot read yet, because I'll take the 2.5 when we get there. But I think it's a pretty good matchup for Detroit. I still think this is a Lions division. I still don't think it's the Bears, even though I'm on Bears Island from before the season. I kind of forgot because I like abandoned ship and get out of there, but I still have those tickets. This was my big sleeper for the season. I should be victory lapping, but I don't really feel that great about the tickets still for all the reasons that you said. So we'll see. But going into Thanksgiving, I think that's a good futures angle to play if you agree with the Bears fade down the stretch.
Yeah, listen, by Friday afternoon, you might feel great if the Bears win as a 7-point underdog in Philly, but
that's true.
We will talk about that another time. Patriots, Bengals. Patriots win the game 26-20. Cincinnati covers the 7.5 on close, total under 50.5. The 2 injuries, T. Higgins concussion. I mean, I would be shocked to hear that he's going to play on a short week on Thursday Night Football in Baltimore. You assume Chase comes back, but now no Higgins in that game. And then Will Campbell carted off. I read some tweets that maybe not as bad and possible return. It looked bad at the time, so that is decent news there. To me, this was just a good mini test for the Patriots. Like, I want to see them in uncomfortable situations, and this was relatively uncomfortable, at least early. This was the biggest Patriots comeback, 10 points since 2021. New England had lost 32 straight games when trailing by 10 points or more. Just not something they'd really been in. And when they were bad, they lost all the games. And Vrabel's teams haven't really been in this spot. But to me, the T. Higgins injury probably was a part of the turn here, getting hurt late in the game. No Chase. You had a Mitchell Tinsley touchdown. I believe that's a congratulations to Raybon who had that. But New England goes 0 of 2 in the red zone. Cincinnati's defense played well enough to give them a chance here, but the offense just wasn't there today. And when Cincinnati's offense doesn't show up for whatever reason, they're just not even going to be close. And they got lucky to even be close in this one, I think.
Yeah, I agree. The offense really didn't show, which is a bummer because I thought the Bengals defense really played a great game. They held them to 19 points outside of both teams got a pick 6 here. So really, we go under, and it shouldn't have even been close, even though this is a game that like I'm playing multiple props on. We're thinking this might be like shootout in the 30s or 40s, both teams, and we got nothing like that. I thought that, we were team Bengals on this one. The Patriots get a long drive. They had at one point 9 straight plays inside the 5 and got stopped on 4th down. Yeah. And I was like, this is our day. This Bengals. This is the one. And I will say that got the cover in part because it held the points off the board, but it also, I think, scared Mike Vrabel into going field goal the rest of the game and settling. And unlike the others, he actually did go up 6 in the game. And that gave the Bengals a shot. Like, they were pushing down the field. They didn't quite have it there. There's nobody left to throw to with T. Higgins on the sideline. So I think 3-8 for the Bengals. Probably this is it now. Certainly, Burrow will come back, you would guess, on Thursday night and give the Ravens all they can handle. Tough one to cap because we don't know what Burrow could be. I'm guessing we won't know till probably close to the game whether he'll play. Lamar has not looked that great for the Ravens, and they're certainly not impressing. So that should be an interesting one on Thursday night. I agree. Probably no Higgins there. Not a lot for the Patriots here. I think you're right. Kind of nice to get tested and come away with the win a little bit. Drake May, 2 games now against the Bengals and Jets, who are 2 of the worst pass defenses in the league. Not super MVP looks by Drake May here. So it's not just that Stafford is looking good, but as you think of the MVP race, I think that's partly why Drake is falling back a little bit. But that's going to be fine with New England as long as they keep winning.
Yeah, they've won 9 in a row. And this is a cool note. So they had a win total below 9, just a third team with a win total below 9 with a 9+ game win streak since 2019. The Vikings did it last year and the Ravens in 2019. So some unexpected goodness coming out of New England. And then next week they are on Monday Night Football, the start of December 1st at home against the Giants. So that is the next time you will see the Patriots, in another opportunity for Drake May to try to catch Matthew Stafford. Also, if you bet an under in a Cincinnati home game and win, you should probably get double. But that's just something I'm going to leave there. All right, last game here before we roll some scores. Jaguars-Cardinals. Jaguars win 27-24. I petitioned to get this game out of the damn rundown and do it later, but Brandon's got something to say here, so let's just keep going. Covers -2.5 on close and overtime. Total goes over 47.5. Yeah, I mean, this just felt like desperate football most of the game. The first team to actually hold the lead in this game, with my note, actually won the game. Because every time a team took the lead, the other team took the lead. And it just felt like nobody actually wanted to win this game, which is kind of what you get when Trevor Lawrence faces Jacoby Brissett. But Lawrence threw three touchdown passes, 3 interceptions, 18 of 30, and there were a lot of turnover-worthy throws. I'm almost sure that when you look through the data this week, in late pass downs, the Jaguars -1.84 EPA per play on 9 plays. That is goddamn terrible. And here's the funny one. And so I was looking for a comp for Trevor Lawrence. Here's Trevor Lawrence's numbers this year: 14 touchdowns, 11 picks, 60% completion percentage, 2,400 pass yards, and a 79 passer rating. Here's Joe Flacco: 15 touchdowns, 10 picks, 60% completion percentage, 2,400 pass yards, and a 79 passer rating. The exact same stats as Trevor Lawrence. So if you're looking for a comp there, I just felt like that was kind of interesting in the way they are perceived. But this is a terrible game for Lawrence. He has a 3% interception percentage this season, the worst for him in his career. And the crazy one, before I toss it back to you, Jacksonville turned it over 4 times, Arizona none. Jacksonville ends up winning the game. Second team since 2008 to win on the road after losing the turnover battle by 4+. Just an absolute chaos of a game that went to OT.
Yeah, the turnover thing was crazy. That was my keynote here as well. And I wrote in my notes the full Lawrence experience. It's kind of what I said about Jameis Winston. Maybe Jameis is the comp for Trevor Lawrence. You know, you get your former number 1 pick that just does a little bit of everything. 3 touchdowns and 3 picks and 3 sacks in the game. It's like the triple or whatever that is. And he also had a fumble into a touchdown earlier in the game as well. Otherwise, the Cardinals are really never even competitive here. Jacoby Brissett leaves briefly. We get BYU rookie Keaton Slovis comes in and throws a couple of passes. So you said earlier, the Buccaneers, we talked about them coming up next. Cardinals Bucks next week. We might get a Slovis Teddy matchup in that one. We'll see. Let's hope that we get real quarterbacks. Brissett is firing everywhere. He set the record a week ago for most completions, 49 pass attempts again. They've been crazy pass heavy. So if it is Brissett, keep playing overs. McBride 9 for 79. That's just like a normal week for him at this point. Michael Wilson 10 for 118. So Cardinals are just going to go down flinging it, I guess. Brissett took 6 sacks on the game. Jacksonville's 7-4. They're now in that mix in the division and in the wild card as well. And they have 6 games left. 3 are against the Colts twice and the Broncos. Not great. 3 are against the Titans twice and the Jets. All right, can you just split those? You go 3-3 and finish 10-7, you're probably in the AFC, and you're probably in place of maybe the Chiefs or maybe the Ravens or somebody that, like, frankly, we actually want to see in the playoffs. Instead, we're going to get the Jameis Winston, Trevor Lawrence Jaguars looking, and I don't know. It's not been a fun team this year, and it's not been a super easy team to predict. I was on the cards in this game, +3 of what I got, so just end up pushing after all that anyways. Kind of feels like the right outcome here for this distasteful experience that the game was.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. The other note is Jacksonville and Arizona both on the road next week, as you noted, and in overtime in this game. So maybe a little bit of a tough spot for both teams. Arizona 1-8 straight up in their last 9. Brissett fights every week, but they are just kind of falling apart week to week. But maybe they get Teddy Two Gloves next week, and that would be an awesome game there. All right, let's just get through some final scores before we get to Monday Night Football and some picks. Cleveland wins 24-10. Covers his 3.5-point dogs on the road. Total goes under 36.5. The injury here would be Genty to watch out for. I believe he had an ankle, but I think he's probably going to be all right. Browns closed with 81% of the tickets in this game, which would be the highest for them in our BetLabs database dating back to 2003. That would be like 366 games. This would be the highest ticket percentage. And obviously Shador's first start, he gets the first win in a first start for a Cleveland Browns since 95. All great stuff there. We thought the story was going to be the pass rush on Vegas' side, but it was the pass rush on Cleveland's side. Ridiculous. 10 sacks, 3 from Miles. Now you got most sacks in teams' first 11 games. Myles Garrett with 18 at the top, and then it's Mark Gastineau with 17.5 and 84. Absolutely ridiculous start from Myles Garrett. So we will continue looking at that pace there. All right. Seattle beats the Titans at kind of a weird one at the end there, as it made it tighter than it was. 30-24 as a final. Tennessee covers a 12.5 on close. Total goes over 41.5. I wrote nice bounce back for Sam ? Or just nice to have JSN. JSN broke the Seahawks single season receiving record, and it's only week 12. He has 1,313 receiving yards. I believe he's like 400 above the next closest guy at the moment. 1,313 is the second highest through 11 games we have seen, behind Tyreek, who had 1,324 in 2023. I said before, he is down to 40-1 to win MVP. If he has a few more of those games, that is going to get shorter. He is on pace for 2,029 receiving yards to be the first player ever to get to 2,000. All right. Ravens beat the Jets 23-10. Jets cover the 14 on close. Total under 44.5. Not Lamar's best showing. 13 completions, 10 incompletions, just 153 yards. Also just 7 carries for 11 yards. He just seemed off really the entire day. I think the story overall going forward for the Ravens is the defense. Serious resurgence. So after allowing 41, 38, 37, and 44 in the first 5 weeks, Baltimore is now allowed under 20 in 6 straight. So, and the one note going forward in this, we'll see what this looks like against Cincinnati, but they are 1-10 to their first half team total over this year. Really struggling outside the gate, so out of the gate. So we will see what that looks like for Cincinnati. All right. Green Bay beats Minnesota 23-6, cover the -6.5 on the close. Total goes under 41.5. The injuries here, at least on Minnesota's side, Darisaw and Donovan Jackson hurt. Something to note there for the line. And Josh Jacobs missed the game. Manuel Wilson played pretty damn well. But Jacobs supposed to be back for the Detroit game. Green Bay breaks the 0-6 ATS mark as a 4+ point favorite here. Get their first big cover and the only real cover in the early window for a big favorite. And this one, and the last one here is yikes, JJ McCarthy. So here's a list of quarterbacks with 2+ picks, 5+ sacks, less than 100 passing yards on 15+ attempts since 2010. And that's what McCarthy did today. So McCarthy, Bailey Zappi, Clayton Tune, and Josh Rosen. Not the list anybody wants to be on. And finally, Falcons win the game 24-10, cover +1.5 on the close. Yes, they were an underdog, Kirk Cousins to Tyler Shuck, but imagine telling someone that. Total under 41, just LOL at this game is what I wrote. Atlanta starts 3 and out. Then New Orleans goes 2-yard run to Kamara, and then Shuck fumbles. Then Atlanta goes 3 and out, 1 yard. Field goal made, 3-0 Atlanta. New Orleans never led again. That was it. That was literally the entire game. Those 3 drives to start, Atlanta leads, and then that's it. Unbelievable. The only other thing that's hilarious about this game, with the injury to Kamara, Taysom Hill has 24 snaps on offense, 10 rush attempts, which led the team, 5 run routes, and 2 dropbacks. That was Taysom Hill, the ultimate gadget game for him, which was just a ton of fun. All right, Monday Night Football time. So we will talk about this game right now. The spread, let's see, 7.5 right now for San Francisco. Total sitting at 49.5. I'll let you kind of walk us in here, and then I'll toss you a few trends and what I like. What do you make here?
Yeah, I think the Panthers, certainly the team we've talked a lot about over the last month, the team that I've been playing a lot of sides or even money lines with them. I think they're a bit outclassed here by the 49ers. These are different weight class teams for me. The Panthers, 26th in DVOA entering the weekend, so bottom 10 offense and defense on the season. The Niners are pretty good. Like, even with all the injuries, they are 6th in offense, and now everybody is back. I don't think Purdy has looked awesome so far, so maybe he's still kind of working his way back. But I think the 49ers should score here. No real reason to me that the Panthers can keep up with that offense. The one note I did have in Carolina's favor, the Niners play the most light box defense in the league. That's just kind of what Robert Saleh does. That's not the defense you want against the heavy Rico Dowdle up the middle sort of run attack. So hopefully, I'm assuming Saleh will have a bit of a different plan for this one, considering that's really the main way Carolina can beat you. But in the comments, Crazy Shorts. I think Crazy Shorts has it right. This is a George Kittle game. That's my angle here. If you want a side, I think Niners teaser maybe is the way to start out your week. Get them just down to basically get a win. But otherwise, I think it's a Kittle game. Panthers, dead last DVOA against tight ends. Bottom 5 covering the middle of the field. 4th most yards to tight ends on the season. They've only faced so far 5 top 15 fantasy tight ends. 3 of the 5 had a touchdown. They averaged 4.8 yards, 61 yards a game. And this is a team, don't forget, we keep playing tight ends against the Panthers because they were the second worst team last year also to tight ends and had the most touchdowns allowed as well. So Kittle, touchdown, 4 of his 6 games this year, 7 of his last 15. So about half the time, he has really been Purdy's go-to guy, especially. Plus 145 for a Kittle touchdown. 2 touchdowns is 11-1. And then last 14 games with Purdy is averaging 75 yards. I'll play the yards as well, over 54.5. So play the yards, play the touchdown, sprinkle a little bit on the 2 touchdowns. He's done that 2 of his last 14 games with Purdy. And I just think it's a good night for Mr. Kittle. And we play a lot of tight ends this weekend, so add one more to the lineup here.
Yeah, I like Kittle myself. I think it's the right move. The way I look at that is this. So Christian McCaffrey currently sitting at minus 360 to score a touchdown right now on DraftKings, which would be one of the largest prices we've seen in the last 5 years. Jonathan Taylor closed minus 380 in week 8 this year. But other than that, that would be the highest price we've seen. With that, I think there's actually some interesting value on Brian Robinson. I was looking at rush attempts. I think a touchdown at like 450, I think I saw, is something that intrigues me. The thing I really like in this game, and I said it earlier on the favorites, I'll kind of repeat my thought process, but I like Ted McMillan. Like you like Kittle, I think number 1 wide receiver against a bit of a weaker pass defense once you get past some of the moves that Saleh will do on the pass rush. I think there's an ability to get beat there. I also think I like Carolina, but I also see what you see in San Francisco and see Carolina probably trailing, maybe a bit of a backdoor, maybe a late comeback. So I think McMillan being the center of that makes a lot of sense. So if you want to be more conservative, I'm cool with 50 yards, 50 plus. You'll see a lot of books. I think 60 plus is just fine. I think the Kittle touchdown and Tet touchdown next year could be an interesting look. So that's the way I look at the game. I kind of do like Carolina, but again, I'd rather play some props because I think there's like the better ability in that one and some more value. So that is the way I'd look at it. A few trends in this one. Bryce Young started 7 games in either the 4 p.m. window or night games with Carolina. He is 0-7 in those games. So this would be his first like prime time, big audience win, which is kind of intriguing. And I think the one you've seen everywhere since Christmas of 23, 49ers are 1-15 against the spread after an outright win, which we did just see. Crazy trend there, but off of a straight up win playing at home in San Francisco, they have lost 12 straight against the spread. So this is a big number there. Maybe you get a short San Francisco win, but that is the way I am looking at it. Anything else?
I don't think so.
All righty then. Let's get to the hot read. What are you looking at there? If you want to tail some of the bets on Monday Night Football, make sure to look at the quick slip link in the podcast and video description. Go to actionnetwork.com/bet now. You can also find those quick slips in the live YouTube chat if you're still hanging out with us. But hot read, bring it to us.
Yeah, 2-0 on the hot read. First time all season we've gone back-to-back 2-0 weeks, so finally getting some hot streak going here on the hot read. 57% on the season, 63% hit rate now since the start of the 2023 season. One of our picks, we're running back. We went with the Browns game under last week. Let's start with the Browns game under this week. 49ers at Browns under 42.5. I don't really get to say much about Shedeur Sanders. Let's give the man some credit. The first Browns quarterback of this entire franchise era to get a debut win. But how impressive was it? Well, one sack, pretty good. A lot of rollouts. I thought that they protected him pretty well. Cleveland finished with 26% success rate, though, offensively. Like, that is an abysmal number. They get a long bomb. That's one of the big chunks of Shedeur yards. They get his first touchdown on a screen pass that Dylan Sampson just breaks 66 yards. Outside of those two plays, 9 of 18, 91 yards. Like, that's not a real quarterback line. 27 less plays than the Raiders. They got one touchdown off a broken screen, one touchdown basically like 5 yards or something after a long punt return. Credit where it's due. Browns quarterbacks don't win, but I'm not exactly going to be like, okay, yes, look, the Browns will figure it out. And I have to assume it's probably Shedeur again in this game. I think fans would revolt if he doesn't start again after winning the first game. So Browns defense, awesome. 10 sacks today. Myles Garrett looks certainly on his way to the sack record, spoiling my Micah Parsons Defensive Player of the Year tickets. No questioning the Browns defense is even better at home. And I think a pretty good matchup here. They're really good. One of the best in the league defending middle of the field. That's where Kyle Shanahan wants to live in attack. And I think lots of short passes. They defend that really well as well. So just a good matchup. And we keep talking about, I've said a lot, how bad the Niners defense is. But if you have to be a bad defense, you may as well be playing the Browns, who are the worst offense in the league by DVOA. And they also run more 21 personnel than anybody. And the Niners have been top 5 EPA per play defending that. So I just think it's not going to be a great matchup on either direction. And short week for the Niners. Obviously, we just talked about them Monday night. They're into the bye week after this. So this kind of just reeks of ugly survive in advance sort of game. Browns have games this season of 33, 23, 38, 32, 37, and 34 points. So anything in that range, we're going to feel happy with our under. Since the start of last season, when it's not Jameis quarterbacking for the Browns, 15 points a game in 21 games. So under 42.5. There's already some 41.5, some 40.5s out there. I think this number is going to slowly fade that way. And when it does, that usually is a good sign for us to have played as well. So under on the Browns and Niners.
Yeah, you took it out. You took exactly what I was going to say. Down to 41.5. I would get on that as quickly as possible. And listen, Browns home games as well. That defense is ridiculous and stellar. And again, the San Francisco short week, I feel like can also kind of come as your advantage here. All right, what's your second pick?
Yeah, another under. We're going to the one that we're stuck with apparently on Sunday night next week. Broncos, Commanders, under 43.5. They had a chance to flex this one out, and they decided, nah, let's keep it in there. So now we got to lead our show with it next week. We may as well grab a hot read on it. So neither one of these teams played today. So not our usual hot read, but neither of them playing, if you've been following, is our first clue toward the under. Both teams coming off a bye week, total over 40. 29, 17, and 1 to the under, 63%. And primetime, non-Thursday primetime unders since 2019, 61% to the under, 60% this year. So that trend is still continuing. Look, half of the side, I probably don't have to sell you too hard. Washington's offense is struggling. Bottom 10 offense last 6 weeks. Run, pass, it's all going bad. So we know how good Denver's defense is. Washington's all banged up. I don't have to tell you too much on that side. It's the other side that's scarier, because Washington's defense has not been good, but Denver and Bo Nix have not moved the ball well. 20% success rate on series their first 2 drives. That's the scripted stuff. That's worst in the league. And now you gave Dan Quinn a whole extra week to prepare for what's already been this vanilla, predictable, boring offense out of Denver. Washington, 32nd on non-blitzing. That's not what Dan Quinn does well. Denver only 25th EPA per play attacking that. So I don't think they can take advantage of that weakness. And Washington 28th in success rate. Well, Denver's only 26th offensively in success rate. So I don't see Denver's offense really as the sort that can put up a big number on Washington. Washington has allowed in 5 games this year against the top 10 defense or offense 36.2 points a game. So that's the scare. But in the rest of their games, 19.2. So 17 points a game more when they're facing a top 10 offense, which let me assure you, Denver is not. So Denver 8-3 to the under, tied for best in the NFL, averaging just under 41 points a game. The Broncos are on the season. And the 3 overs, if you take those out, their other games are averaging under 33 a game total on the season. So we're at 43.5. Pretty much every book has that number. I think it will start to go down. And again, a total between 39 and 44. This trend works for both of these picks. That drops a point to 4 points, which I think is kind of the direction this will go. Since 2017, on a huge sample, 54.4% to the under. I think it's a snoozer. I think we're probably going to get back-to-back Sunday night duds here, but we're going to have to watch it and leave the show with it next week. We may as well grab the under 43.5 now and lock it in.
I just want to say I love our audience because as I am listening to you talk, the board is lighting up on Action Labs right now with the Browns going down to 40.5. So hopefully everyone can get that as quickly as possible. All right. That'll do it here on the Action Hour podcast for our NFL Week 12 recap episode presented by DraftKings. Give us a like on the YouTube video before you take off. We really appreciate it. If you haven't yet, check out our new AI Quick Slip bot on X. Just tag Playbook at Playbook. Tell it to grab whatever bets you're looking for, and it'll create a quick slip link for you in a matter of seconds. We will be back for Action Island before Monday night's game right here on Action Network's YouTube page, as well as more best bets from Brandon, the six-pack from Raybon and Stuck, anytime touchdowns, and more on the podcast feed next week for Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and more. Thank you for listening. Good luck with all your bets. Bon chance.